Hi, everybody. My name's Jokerr. It's just another day in the underground. For anybody that's been paying attention, there has been a lot of buzz going on around an old friend of ours. A lot of stuff has been said about the Jokerr recently, and as many of you know, we like to go straight to the source here as much as we possibly can. And I want to give a voice to somebody that has had some recent dealings with the Jokerr and allow him to tell his story in full, uninterrupted glory. Thank you, Emery, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. I'm glad to have you on here. I've been looking forward to this for the last couple of weeks, to be honest. So let's kind of start from the beginning here. Who are you, and how did you originally hear of the Jokerr?
My name is Emery Pigg. I am currently working in Seoul, Korea, teaching elementary and middle school students. But I am a longtime Juggalo, big fan of all sorts of underground hip hop through ICP. That's how I kind of branched out into other kinds of music. And I found out about Jokerr, I want to say either 2007 or 2008. He had posted, there were ads for Welcome to the Show on Juggalo News. And it was really well done. The rapping was good. The storytelling was good. The character, I really liked it. And so I started following him. I continued following him from there.
Okay. And what was it initially? Obviously you discovered, the Jokerr many years ago, and what was it particularly about the Jokerr that kind of drew you in, that really made you a fan? Was there a particular piece of work or a song or just a persona in general? Like, what was it in the beginning that kind of led you to become a fan of his?
So the Welcome to the Show EP that he did is kind of a concept album where he is portraying this Jokerr character, and he's talking about a story, which I believe he calls the Joker's legacy. And it was really cool. Like, I was really interested in it. It had these medieval themes. He had music video. Well, he hadn't had music videos yet, but he seemingly came out of nowhere. And not only did he seemingly come out of nowhere, but he came out of nowhere with this really high production quality. And so there was a really cool storytelling, and that it sounded good. Like, a lot of times underground rap, especially people who are first starting or have their first serious album that's being pushed nationwide, don't necessarily sound that good, but it sounded really good. Like, it was good music, basically, is what I liked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta give it to the Jokerr. He's always had a very high quality product, from the get go. Like, from honestly day one of me hearing him, and maybe there's some earlier stuff that I never heard, but back in like 2010, that was when he had really kind of hit my radar, and that's when I really noticed exactly what you're describing. It was kind of different. It was more cinematic and kind of more like fantasy theme based, and it was pretty interesting stuff at the time. And I think that's interesting that was the first thing you called out, was like his quality of his product, right? And his uniqueness. At which point, or was there ever a point after becoming a fan where you started kind of communicating with the Jokerr on maybe a more like personal level?
I think it was 2012 or 2011. He had a contest for his Trail of Destruction album, and I had won that contest, actually. So he was sending out signed copies, and if you had a certain signed copy, you won one of everything in his web store. And I won that. And so we were, communicating Facebook about that. And then we were talking about other things. We would just bullshit. And we didn't really agree all the time, especially politically. We were very different. But he seemed approachable and like someone you could talk to easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you, so when you won that contest, just out of curiosity, did you get everything? that you were
I got
supposed to get?
mostly everything. I actually thought it was him trolling me at first, but apparently they were random. But I thought he was trolling me because in the past I had kind of talked shit about his merch, like not like just like I wish you'd get some better merch, so I could wear your stuff.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really like designs, but that's just a personal opinion, And then I win one of everything in his web store. Uh, there was one thing that I had to ask a couple times about, and it was a sweatshirt. But yeah, that was fulfilled.
Long ago that was always a thing, and
Mhm.
getting certain items seemed to always be a runaround at the time, like, oh, this
Mhm.
is out of stock or this happened at production. And people, I
Mhm.
remember back in the day, would always complain about that kind of crap. And, it'd
Right.
always be a topic of discussion about how long it took to get whatever rare piece of merch from, the Jokerr store.
Yeah,
Um,
I wasn't gonna complain that much about, missing one or two pieces from a bunch of free shit. So
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I hear you, man, absolutely. So at this point, then you guys are talking, you're having
Mhm.
interactions, you win this contest, you get this free
Right.
merch, you continue to be at this point a good loyal fan at this point, right? Like you
Right. Yeah.
continue to follow them.
Yeah.
At at which point did the investment come up? Like what particular phase of his business plan, like
Mhm.
what was he coming out with, what was he rolling out? I know there's been several different companies and products over the years
Right.
that he has presented to people and allowed them and given the opportunity for them to invest in. So which one
Mhm.
of those was the one that sparked your interest to say, I want to give this guy some of my money and become an investor in the Jokerr?
So he had released a video. It was a song, really, because that's kind of how he does a lot of his promotion for his new companies, right? The songs. And it was about something called JLSANR, where he was talking about doing like full album packages for artists. And he said that he already had people lined up, right? And because I thought he had really high production quality, and I had seen pictures of his studio and his bottle microphone by Blue, and it's really high end stuff. I figured this would be something that he could easily do and find a lot of people, and you know, and he basically said like, yeah, you loan me, you would send me a many, I would send you a request. So I'm just going to read it directly what he said on May 5th, 2019. I would send you a money request for 2,000 via PayPal, and within a month or so, I would send you back $2,400. Probably sooner though, and that's what it said also in the PayPal request. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, and I should have known, like, this is I'm not a kid, right? I should have known that this seems too good to be true. And I asked about it. I was like, so can I guarantee a return on investment, or can I risk losing this money? Like, it's not that I don't trust you. It's just got to be careful with that much money. And he said, like, you've been my fan for forever. I'm the least bullshitty person on the face of the earth. There's always some risk I could die in a car accident. That's basically what he said. Like, so he made it seem like the only way you wouldn't get your money back is if I die.
I saw obviously the other video that's out there, where you kind of go into each one of these, basically the whole conversation in detail.
Yeah.
So people are interested, go check out that video. It's pretty easy to find. You type in Jokerr and I think scammer, it'll
Yeah.
pop up, and you'll be able to see the full
And
log and the history of the conversation, because
it's just me scrolling through our messages because
yeah.
I knew like he's tried to discredit screenshots before. So I figured I would just do a screen recording and go through everything and play the video voice messages to show that I'm not, bullshitting this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting throughout that conversation. So you had basically agreed at this point to give him $2,000 and invest in his company.
right.
Um, was there any paperwork involved in this, or was this really just kind of a handshake deal through like Messenger and PayPal?
So yeah, I didn't sign a contract, but there was specific wording in the PayPal request saying that it would be returned. The return would be within 2 months, um,
Okay.
which I don't know if that's legally binding or anything, because it's dumb. Yeah.
It happens, man. I think,
Right.
I think if anything too, that's one thing for other people that, I mean, there's so many rappers out there right now that are offering people to, the opportunity to
Right.
invest in them. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think it's going to
Right.
become more and more of a thing, especially with different like
Right.
NFTs and things like that. So I think this is just it's a good learning example for people like, hey,
Hmm.
if anything, at
Get a
minimum, make sure
contract.
you get a contract, get paperwork, and go that
Hmm.
extra step. If they really want the money and they really want to do business with you, they'll jump through the proper hoops in order to do business with you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
And one thing that I did want to clarify at this point, I am in Korea, and he knows that I am in Korea. I
yeah.
this is purely speculation, but I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, that's interesting point. I also found that it was very interesting that the PayPal transactions didn't quite go as smoothly as I would have thought they would have went. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the back and forth that kind of occurred with the
Okay.
payments and what exactly happened there?
Yeah. So I sent the $2,000. Right. I sent it to, I think it was the JLSANR. Like, it was a specific PayPal account. Um, and he says, like, awesome. Like, and I asked him a few minutes, like, later, that maybe the next month or so, or later that month, uh, have you seen any interest? And he's like, oh yeah, there's 7,000, someone looking to pay $7,000. But then he also says, oh, PayPal has locked me out. And so the first payment I sent was a goods and services payment. I sent it PayPal via goods and services. And he said, I'm locked out of my account. Can you request a refund and send it to this account, which was his wife's account. So I requested the refund, and I sent it to his wife's account via friends and family, which should have been another red flag, but I was dumb, right? And this is someone I had a long relationship with, and been talking to, and I trusted.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, "You won't believe it. I'm locked out of this PayPal account too. Can you send another request to have a refund?" And I told him, "Well, it's friends and family, so I can't do that." And so I contacted PayPal, and I said, "Hey, like, this guy said he's locked out his account, and he wants me to resend it and request a refund." And what PayPal customer service had told me is, "We can't give you a refund because that money has already been withdrawn into a bank account."
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
at that point, there's nothing I can do. And maybe he really was locked out of that PayPal account, but if he was, it was after he took my money out. So,
Okay. Just to kind of summarize then how
mhm.
these series of transactions occurred, you paid the $2,000 to the
Right,
JNSANR,
right.
stuff that he was putting out there at the time. Um, he said, "Oh, this isn't going to work for me. You need to just send it to another PayPal account because I'm locked out." He gets locked out of the other account that you send it to. He needs you to send it again. So you send it a total of, is it 3 times
I said it
or
twice.
twice? Okay, so
Twice,
you
yeah, because
spend
the
it
third time
twice.
I couldn't get the refund, and I wasn't going to send another $2,000.
Okay. So you were out. So you were out a total of $2,000
Yeah.
at this point. That you weren't getting back.
Hmm.
Um, what did communication look like at this point? And like, tell me a little bit about how you're feeling at this point in the moment, right? Like, I know how you feel now about it,
Hmm.
knowing what you know and knowing that you're not probably gonna see that money back. But
Right.
in the moment, are you like holding on to a glimmer of hope that you're going to see this money and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I trusted him still, and you know, once the PayPal thing happened, like through PayPal, I was skeptical, but he kept on saying, like, you're good. I've got your back. Like, it'll be good. I'll make this right, et cetera, et cetera.
And so what was the exact date that you had made the first initial $2,000 payment?
May 5th, 2019.
Okay, so you make the payment on May 5th. 2019. You deal with all the BS back and forth. I'm guessing this probably spanned over how many days did this span over?
This was a couple months into June, and then after that, I'm asking him other questions. And he says like, "I'll get your money back," but I'm dealing with a lot of shit. I'm like, okay, I get it. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. And then there's the fires in California. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. Then there's COVID, there's benefit of the doubt. But before COVID, in the beginning of 2020, I had sent him a message because my parents were coming to visit. Let me see if I can pull up this message.
Yeah.
I sent him a message and I basically said, like, look, I've been really patient, I've been understanding, but I really need this money back. Like, this is going to be a very expensive situation for me because my parents are coming and I want to make sure they're taken care of. So can you give me a date, or can we set up some sort of payment plan? And he said, I mean, he didn't give me the money, but he basically said, you can always talk to me. Like, I'm always here for communication and stuff like that.
Okay. So you essentially you paid in May.
Mm-hmm.
You're now in December, so we're
Right.
talking 6-7 months
Well,
have
this was the
passed
next
at this point.
This was the next year.
So we're talking a whole year.
Yeah.
And you still hadn't seen your money.
Right. And before that, actually, I'm going through these messages now and double checking. So this was in 2019 in November. He said, I have a project that I'm doing for the Juggalos that I'm looking for partners with. And I said, what do you mean by partners? He said, basically an investor. Since you already have some money invested with me and you're a Juggalo, go bigger. This is what I've been working on the past 6 months. It's going to be dropping on World Star Hip Hop in the next couple weeks, which I looked it up. That costs $8,000 to get them to post that video. Or at least it does now. And so I said, in other circumstances, I might be down, but I have Christmas and my parents visiting. I don't really have the money to do that. And he never responds to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you're starting to see at this point, you're starting to see him make other moves while your money is kind of sitting out there. Right. And how did that make you feel in that moment?
I was very frustrated and annoyed. And, I wanted to be, I'm not an aggressive confrontational person. And it seems like with the Joker, he assumes that if you're not outwardly aggressive towards someone, then everything's fine. And that's not really the case.
Like he was almost expecting, like, hey, if basically, like, if this guy's gonna do something, then he's gonna show me that he's really pissed off and he wants his money and he's gonna explode, and then maybe, that'll trigger me to like do something.
Maybe, I don't know, because and the things I've sent him messages multiple times. In January of 2020, I said, hey, just checking on getting that money back. I know you're a busy guy and you've got a lot going on, but my parents are visiting next week and it's gonna be more expensive than I anticipated. And he said, I can get it to you soon, but I don't know if that's soon. I'm working on a distribution deal, which will be for 30 to 40,000. And when I get that locked, I can send the money right over. In September of 2020, I said, hey man, when I sent you that $2,000 in May of 2019, you would pay me back. You said you'd pay me back within 60 days. You then said PayPal locked you out of your account. You had me send the money through friends and family. Then when you claimed PayPal locked you out again, I checked with them for another refund and they said the money had been withdrawn to a bank account. I've been incredibly patient. I've given you the benefit of the doubt time and time again, but I need you to pay me that money. If it needs to be a payment plan, that's fine, but I need you to do right by me. I'm not trying to be an asshole about this, but think about how you would feel if the roles were reversed. And he said, of course, you can reach out to me. Don't feel like you can't. Those PayPal are still locked. I'll pay you back one way or another. And then nothing happened.
Okay. And what can you remind everybody, what was the date on that again?
That was September 2020.
Okay.
Right.
So September 2020.
Mm-hmm.
You basically through message you confront him
Mm-hmm.
privately.
Right. And
What
there's
what what happened? What happened after you confront him now? Like
nothing.
what has happened?
Nothing. And then he sends me a voice chat, sends me a voice message, and he's basically saying, all the stuff's going on, COVID. And, I was, again, being kind, giving him the benefit of the doubt. But in retrospect, I don't really understand how COVID would affect his business because he has a studio and he can mix and master other people's stuff. And he's not touring. Like he doesn't tour.
It's
So
a
maybe,
very
maybe for like merchandise, okay, I could understand that. There might be some delays on that. But everyone else, like a lot of musicians who weren't touring, were doing all sorts of things, right?
it's interesting because during the pandemic, when people weren't touring, what were they doing?
They're making music and
They're
doing
making
live
music, right?
streams and
You would think
yeah,
somebody like the Jokerr, who's self-proclaimed, as he said it in the video where he was bashing you, and
mm-hmm.
we're gonna get to that in a moment, but as he put it, basically he said, and I'm gonna summarize here, that somebody at the level and prestige that he's at, that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself, because he thinks that he's like the most top tier underground person alive, yet for whatever reason can't seem to turn a profit for any of his businesses over the last 2 decades, and is still
Right.
asking people for money left and right. And it's going into this abyss where you never
Right.
see anything actually come to fruition.
Yeah. A lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it feels like with this. And the irony in it is, if his businesses was going as good as he says they are, then you would think he would have $2,000 to pay somebody back.
Right. And he calls it and he messaged me privately. So I'll get to the point where I guess I made it public. So I had basically just written it off at this point. I'm thinking, fuck it, I'm never gonna get my money back. But I didn't want to tell anyone because it's really embarrassing, right? The con, you feel like a sucker. And I don't like feeling like a sucker is not fun. And I knew if I said something publicly, there were gonna be people who'd be like, wow, you actually believed him? And I was like, fuck. So I didn't want to do it. And so way back in 2021, in November, I actually messaged a friend of mine about it. It's like, oh yeah, this is something that happened to me. He's like, holy shit, like this happened to someone else. And that's when he got me in contact with Francis Healy. Like this happened to someone else. And like, you need to say something about this. And I still didn't want to, right? I didn't want to. And then eventually there was a new Facebook group. It wasn't brand new, but it was new. And it was called Juggalo Scammers. And it's about people on like the buy sell trade pages calling out publicly people who have scammed people or multiple people. And one day I was looking through that group and I just decided, fuck it. And I made the video and I posted the video. And that's how it ended up going public.
Okay. And when was this approximately? Do you remember?
I believe that was April 18th
of this year, right?
Yeah, of this year. Let me hold on. I have the it was April 18th. I don't know if that's Seoul, like Korea, or US. It might have been the 17th back here, but yeah.
Okay, so in mid-April, we'll call it mid-April. You put this video out. You kind of put yourself out there, right? What was
some people shat on me, some people were like, wow, I can't believe like he has a pattern of doing this. Like, how did you trust him? That kind of stuff. But some people supported me.
Have you, what would you say you felt more? Has it been more like support? Has it been more like people, dumping all on you? Like what have you been feeling since coming public with the information for somebody that has, the amount of fans that the Jokerr has?
I was supported. I had more support than anything. And also on the video he posted, I had more support. And that's why he turned off comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he has the video as private, I believe,
Private.
too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you need to have a link to see it or something. So that's usually how he takes care of people that he doesn't want to have on his channel for the world to see. But he still wants to make sure that the person saw it and that he can
Right.
share it and that the fans can share it around
Right.
without it being a big public display. It's basically his way of saying F you to people that he's trying to get back at, because he's done this several times. There are several videos he's done with this kind of crap. And to your point, you're not the first person, and you're probably not going to be the last
Right.
that he's taken advantage of people. Like, that's what it comes down to, man.
Right.
Like, he's taking advantage of his fans.
That's part of the reason I felt like that's what my friend said. He's like, this is going to happen to other people. You need to say something. And so that's, and then I saw that he was looking for investors for something called Gesture or whatever. And so I was like, and I gotta say something.
What led to the phone call?
Okay. So I posted this. It was shared several times to a lot of different groups. And he messaged me. He's very aggressively. He's like, how the fuck are you going to not talk to me for 10 months and then pop up bashing me? I thought you were better than this. Barely waited till I'm crawling out of the worst hole of my life and then jump on the dog pile. And I didn't know what that meant. Without talking to me first while I'm trying to make the money to pay back investors. You're selfish, counterintuitive bullshit. Fuck you, pussy ass shit. He tries to call me. He says, call me now if you want to work this out or keep your name out of my fucking mouth. And like, I have class and I'm working. And he says he's going to sue me. He says, I can't wait to see this on the Facebook pages, screenshot all this shit. Fucking pussy. You just burned a bridge with the best friend you could ever have over nothing money. He called it nothing money.
Interesting.
And so he's trying to call me, right? Because he always wants to steal things in calls, which is fine. But, you can't really have the evidence of calls unless you record it, which is technically illegal in California. So I called him. And the first call was just me asking, do you have a date by which you're going to pay me back? And he said aggressively, no, he used the N-word. I don't have a fucking date. He didn't record this call, of course. So I said, all right, then we don't have anything to talk about. And I hung up. And then he called me back.
Did he call you back right away?
He called me back. Let me see if I can figure that out. It was around the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
And I shouldn't have answered it, but I knew otherwise it was going to be turned against me either way, because that's what he does. So I figured I would just go through it and lay out all of the issues I had.
Yeah. And so he calls you. He's blowing up your phone at this point. Is what I'm gathering from this, right? He's calling you. He calls you again. So he calls you back, and now you have this 12 to 13 minute conversation with him that you're I can't even say you're having it, because it's basically him talking at you for 13 minutes and just laying out a boatload of excuses and nonsense for 13 minutes and ultimately not responding to the two questions you had, which was, can you pay me my money, and can you get on a payment plan if you can't pay me my money? And you kind of ended the call there. When did you find out that he had recorded this interaction, and what were your thoughts in that moment?
I knew he was going to record it.
Did he tell you he was going to record it, or did you just assume that? Okay,
he didn't tell me, because then it would have been fine, and I would have recorded it too. But yeah, it's because in where he lives, it's illegal to record a call without two-party consent. But I knew, from the whole phone volume thing, that he was probably recording the call, because he claims to have hours of audio with Opsin, which means he probably recorded all of their phone calls. So I expected him to record the call. And then, I saw someone sent me the video. I don't remember when or where, but I didn't really care, because it didn't hurt my case. Like, and all of every single comment except for maybe two, were people saying like, you should remove this. This looks bad, my guy. Like, dude, this is not not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so he eventually he made it completely private, like not even unlisted. He made it completely private. Then he turned off comments and put it back. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it's just me, like, he gives an excuse. And I said, well, you upgraded your studio during this time, right?
mm-hmm.
By the way, he just bought his girlfriend a new laptop, a new MacBook, which is probably around $2,000. This just happened. And yeah, it was just annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you on that, man. And I think that's the problem here. It's that he talks to people as if thousands of dollars is nothing money, as he put it.
And then he says he's broke and can't pay me back at the same time.
Exactly. That's exactly the problem here. And unfortunately, we are seeing a pattern of behavior from the Jokerr that has spanned over at least a decade. And it goes all the way back from verses that weren't getting done on time, which he's been called out on. It's
and
been merch.
He makes a diss track about someone when they're asking about the verse that he didn't do. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't, he had all those problems back in the day. He's continued to have merch problems. He just posted something the other day where, of course, and again, it's never his fault. It's never his fault. It's the time vampires. It's all the haters that are coming after him. You're conspiring against me, and y'all need to stop talking to Joe because, it's like, dude, just calm down, man. Get your business straight. And for somebody that is as talented as a Jokerr, I'm not going to deny his talent. Mm-hmm. He is literally the worst business person I have ever known in the underground in my entire life.
And the only time that he did admit that it was his fault, kind of, is with the whole Tech9 Hops and Dead Horse video. Because, of course, it didn't go the way he wanted. Right, he didn't get the buzz necessarily that he wanted from that.
Yet he kept all the videos up. Like that's the thing too. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any of it, but like you're still profiting off of all of the buzz. Like
he re-uploaded all of them. He remastered them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't speak on that. That could be wrong, but
it's nonsense, dude. So,
but yeah, he thinks I had some conspiracy with Francis and Massetti and Massive Man.
Was this coordinated? Because he had said that he thought this was some coordinated assault on his name.
No, I had talked to Francis in the past to see like what the situation was, but I hadn't talked to her since then. Like maybe November of 2021. I hadn't even heard Massetti's name since I had talked to Jokerr himself about it. He was mentioning how he kicked him out of the house and his side of that. And I had no idea who Massive Man was until he mentioned it. So my first message to Massetti was, I believe, after I posted the video, because I asked him how long it would take for me to get called out as a narcissist after doing this. And then the first message I sent to Massive Man was after that phone call, I believe, on the 21st.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So like, I didn't know who Massive Man was before. I've talked to him since, and I've talked to Massetti since, and I've talked to Francis since, of course, but I did not plan anything with them. But I can understand from his perspective, if they were posting similar things at a similar time, how that could be perceived as people working together. But nope, I did not know that they had posted anything else. And if I did, I wouldn't really feel bad about admitting it because it's still all true. Right. Like, I would have no reason to lie about that. He's saying like these people all have ulterior motives, like they're trying to help their buzz and their label, but like what motive do I have? Like what do I gain? I don't gain anything for this except for getting my money back.
Right.
Like I'm not a rapper. I'm not trying to launch a label or release a project. I just don't want other people to get scammed, and I want to get my money back.
Dude, truer words have never been spoken. I mean, at the end of the day, man, I really appreciate you taking the time and putting yourself out there so that we can try to stop this kind of nonsense from occurring and to your point, happening to other people.
Right.
I mean, this guy, the Jokerr, has continued to somehow come up with these ideas to extract funds from his fans, and 95% of the time he either doesn't put out the project he was getting funding for, it's ridiculously delayed,
Mm-hmm.
or nothing comes out at all. Like it's
right.
crazy to me.
I understand delayed projects as an ICP fan, but
Mm-hmm.
if you have two announced projects and they're both delayed by 2 years, that's kind of
That's a little suspect.
And then
Yeah.
like you still take all the pre-order money and the huge bundle money, and
Yep.
yeah, honestly, that's probably grounds for a class action lawsuit at this point. I'm not a lawyer though, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild out here, man. But again, I really appreciate it, man. Do you have anything else that you want to say to either the Jokerr or to the fans or underground fans in general before we go?
So I guess to underground fans, don't let this detract you from, investing in artists that you actually care about. Just be smart about it. And to Nathan, like, dude, I don't have some conspiracy against you. Like, I don't want you to fail. I don't want you to, crash and burn. I just don't want you to scam people. Like, I don't want you to take people's money and not give them what you expect. And I didn't even ask for the full 2,400. I just wanted what I initially paid you back.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it again. And Jokerr, if you're watching this, man, pay the man back his money. He deserves it, man. But thank you guys for watching. My name's Joe K. It's just another day in the underground.